Hey guys, what's going on? It's Shane here. I'm about to review and give you my thoughts on the third of the Godzilla Netflix anime movies, Godzilla, the Planet Eater. Now, yeah, I'm trying to figure out where to begin with this. Well, as always, Toho Animation is the ones that did this in conjunction with Polygon Pictures. Is the 34th uh, picture in the Godzilla franchise, and it was written by Urobuchi. That is going to be important because Gen Urobuchi has known as being the co-creator for Magical Madoka. He's known for, if you're a Tokusatsu fan, he's also written for Kamen Rider Guime. He's written for Fate Zero, and I know we got a lot of Fate fans, so no way you don't know Fate Zero, right? So his writing contains a lot of dark and nihilistic themes and a lot of tragic plot twists and some gore and stuff. So, with that in mind, let's get right into what happened in this episode. Well, episode in this movie. So we're coming right off the heels of the destruction of the Mecha Godzilla city, and regular Godzilla just lighting up the whole thing after Haruo had just destroyed the command center, killing those who were inside the Billisudos in honor of fighting Godzilla as a human and not just becoming something more, becoming a monster himself. And back on the Atrium, that's the name of the ship that has been hovering over Earth's atmosphere, well, Earth's orbit, and the conflict arises. The Bellasudo, I'll just call him leader or representative on the council. He's saying that Haruo should be, executed. He needs to be treated as a traitor. He killed all those lives. But then the human person, saying, "You all planned on just expanding the city and assimilating people. We heard what their plan was. How can you even say that he's the traitor when we knew what you guys doing?" So it's an argue of, well, this was the only way to kill Godzilla versus the human thinking, why would we do that? It's like cutting off your nose to spite your face, right? Excuse me. And you notice uh, if I'm saying the name right, Elifum, the Elif guy, he just kind of quietly walks out. So during this whole thing, during that whole situation, they're trying to figure out what to do here. Well, the name's Exif. Sorry, Exif. So during this whole time, uh, Haruo is just the girl who he was trying to make sure she didn't die. She ends up becoming brain dead. Like the nanomachines that try to fully assimilate her, well, they're keeping her alive, but at the same time, she has no brain function, so she's just there. And she ends up having a conversation with Metaphys, the other, the other Exif, the one other one that's there that's kind of been guiding him through all of this. And he's saying that he's saying essentially the X of he's gonna bring the X of God to Earth in order to destroy Godzilla. And through all of this, he has lied to the people because it's because of the Hotua, the people, the indigenous people. From them healing people, those people weren't assimilated by the Mechagodzilla nanites. And so he's lying to tell them, "Oh, this is just divine, it's God," and he's spinning the whole thing. And so if Haruo even disagrees a little bit, they could even turn against him, right? So the Dr. Martin, says, "We need to hide you." Gets one of the twins, which we believe the one that Haruo originally met, says, "Can you hide him somewhere, please, until all of this blows over?" And I believe it's Mania. And during this time on Atrium, the Billisudos have just totally they're taking over the ship's power. They turn the power off. They're saying, you guys gotta make a decision on Haruo, or we're not working. We're not gonna allow this to go through. Period. Meanwhile, during this time, Metaphys is conducting a ritual, and remember in the last movie, there was a little relic there, and it just seems to be a lot of focus on that. And they give us a little. I don't know if it's at the same time, but then we go back to Haruo, who thinks he's with Minia, but he's really with. He thinks he's with Mai, but he's with Mia. And Mia says she's scared, and his constant fighting with Godzilla is losing because he's gonna die. So she says she offers to help him win and connect life with him. Essentially, she's like, let's have let's sleep together, have a baby. That's connecting life. That is the way of winning. Winning is to continue to live on instead of having this losing battle. And Haruo finally realizes that it is Mia because she couldn't figure out how to take off his suit, but her sister had already taken off his suit in the second movie. And when they both talk and say, well, I'm scared, and I'm scared too. And then there is an implied love scene. You don't see it. Remember, it's still anime. Implied love scene. Meanwhile, her sister is confronting Metaphys. Tells him, I know you're telekinetic because we're all telekinetic. And I can tell you're telekinetic listening to our conversations because when other people can't hear us, they're off talking and doing other things. You're always quiet. And so he gives her a glimpse into their destroyer guard, which just happens to be Ghidorah. And Haruo has this vision, which at first I thought you're led to believe that he's actually walking through this and saying the girl, he gets a bowl from Metaphys, drinks it. It's like, what is this? And looks in, and in the gourd, you see the girl chopped up body, and her head looks up at him and says, Ghidorah. Turns out it was just a vision dream. Her sister also has it because they're psychically linked, and she's screaming out what's going on. So in this meantime, Metaphys is now conducting the ritual. And at the same time on the ship, the other Exif, that guy's conducting a ritual as well with the followers they have on there. And they are connecting the bridge from this dimension that Ghidorah is in. And as one of the guys who has somehow managed to survive this whole thing, and I think we see him in episode 1, he's really a scary kind of guy, but falls in line with this whole religion thing in this movie. He sees a shadow, and it's just people are just losing pieces of themselves, and just falling dead. And he finally sees the image of the three-headed one, and he dies. Meanwhile, above the atrium, a singularity occurs, and they are all able to see this giant golden head snake thing come out, but their machinery is saying it's nothing there. They're losing power. They're trying to charge everything up. Even the Billasudos are like, we got to get out of here. Everyone dies. So now we get back to Earth, where Godzilla awakens because he's been in a slumber. Now he awakens because now there's 3 singularities in the sky, and the Hotu people, they're kind of just stealing themselves as three of these golden snake things, Ghidorah, come out, and they're fighting Godzilla, which Godzilla cannot do damage to this thing because it's here, but it isn't. And meanwhile, Haruo says, I'm going to just go and confront Metaphys, say, are you doing this? What is the cause of all this? Because they couldn't, Dr. Martin and another person who was assisting him, they couldn't contact the ship above. So now, excuse me, so now he's like, well, what happened? What's going on? Metaphys has this thing in his eye that was the relic, and he's telling him, look, this is what needs to be. All civilizations, once they get big enough, they create Godzillas, because also in this world, Godzilla was created by nuclear testing, right? He's saying once civilization gets too big, it creates Godzillas, it collapses on itself. Well, this is, on our world, the same thing happened, and when thousands of years ago, we figured out we can transcend death. We could fix everything. We could live forever if we wanted to. And we discovered Ghidorah, and so we brought our god here. So death cult. They're essentially a death cult. They killed their own people and sent emissaries out to essentially do the same thing to other people. Which I'm going to speak on that towards the end. So Haruo is he sees that he has Mia because apparently Mia's not dead. That was just all a vision. And the ritual people didn't actually drink her. They drank just something. And he comes under this trance, and now he's sinking within his mind. If you've ever seen Get Out, it's like he's in the sunken place. He's just tumbling in on himself. Well, Maya and the doctor, they go to see the Hutuan's god to see the egg and test the egg. And much like I theorized before, it is indeed Mothra, but they don't say Mothra because Mothra is able to psychically get into wherever mindscape Haruo is and push back Ghidorah. We still just see the visage of a moth, which allows Maya to connect the doctor with Haruo to tell him, hey, there has to be someone that is bridging Ghidorah here because there's no way that, Ghidorah should be able to touch Godzilla and Godzilla not touch him, which Haruo figures out that it's Manifest, and he ends up grabbing his face, squeezing it, and the thing breaks, and it essentially allows Godzilla to now combat Ghidorah, which it's during this fight is not really much. So Ghidorah bites him. Godzilla's trying to explode, but he's not. Ghidorah's draining his energy, and finally Godzilla, when he's able to grab him, he's throwing the heads. Mind you, we don't ever see a physical body. It's just a long snake heads. Throw them to the ground, shoots beams at the singularities to destroy them. So now the day is saved, right? And we fast forward through time. I'm gonna guess that it's at least maybe 6 months, because Mia, who Haru had sex with, she's pregnant, and the people that are still alive, because apparently I thought that most of the people either with the cult or they were above, but apparently there were some people that are still on the ground that weren't with the cult, so they just adapt to the Hatua way of life. And the doctor finds the vulture that was still around, that Haru had. Couldn't get it working, but suddenly he figured out how to get the nanites from Yuko's brain dead body and try to get it to jumpstart. And he's saying, well, over time I'll be able to, get us out of this primitive age. We'll be able to do more. And suddenly Haru's right eye stings. It's the same eye that Metaphys had the relic in. And he hears him saying, just like he said when Metaphys died, that, Ghidorah will always watch you, and Ghidorah will always eventually return as long as civilization grows, blah, 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 blah. So, his, she's saying, is everything all right? And he goes off, he picks up Yuko, and Maya, the sister that originally met him, but is not having his child, says, going to fight Godzilla is losing. Don't lose. Stay here. He's like, sometimes you gotta fight a losing battle. Okay. So he takes Yuko's body, takes the now moving vulture, races towards Godzilla, and wants Godzilla to erase the last remnants of hate so that the Hatua people, and so that Mia and Maya, is Mina and Mia, but that's the Mia and Maya don't learn about the hate because he's still holding on to hate. And Godzilla easily destroys him. It looks more like he ran into it, but I think it's like a combination of beam and running into it. And that is how the movie ends. The post-credit scene shows the one that had his child. You can tell that some of these children are mixed between the Hotua people and the original Earth humans because they have interesting features. And she's older now, But apparently, they have a ritual where they throw all their fears and anxieties into a fire, and it's kind of like a Burning Man kind of thing. And it's to symbolize pushing forward past fears and hate and all this other stuff. This movie, while there was moments that had me on the edge of my seat, the kaiju fight was horrible. And while I was going, what the heck is happening? What the heck? Whoa. I'm also realizing there is no real fight because Godzilla can't touch him. And Godzilla's only able to touch him after they destroy the MacGuffin. And then, what kills me is the whole point of destroying Godzilla was so that the rest of the humans, thousands of humans, mind you, they already killed the old people. The old people died in the first movie, and that was some time ago. And I was contemplating whether I was going to have this be a review / rant, or just make a separate video. I might still do both because this is what kills me: that all these people now just die, right? And apparently the X's they're the ones that can bring this thing back, right? So are we led to believe that there's X's out there that once civilization comes back, they're like, hey guys, remember it's us. And then they try to bring Ghidorah back, right? And I give these movies credit because they do allude to a lot of the older stuff from the first series, second series, Millennium series, and things of that nature. Like there were aliens that the Billisudos, they wanted to take over. Except they wanted to take over. If you watch, I can't remember those before Tokyo SOS, but if you watch those two series, which is nonstop action, mind you, they're fighting aliens that want to take over. They're fighting aliens that are using kaijus and monsters. Even the original Monster Zero and the original Ghidorah movies, where King Ghidorah appears, they're using Ghidorah to try to take over. Not just necessarily destroy, but to take over. And that's good and well. We only see Ghidorah's, 3 heads in the body form as a silhouette within the mindscape. Which I can only assume that they're saying that Ghidorah is so massive in this other dimension, he can't fully manifest, and he can just attack and do whatever he wants that way. Thousands of people that were the point of this whole mission are gone. So my question is, why I don't know if hell is a bad word to even say on YouTube, but why in the hell would Haruo even care about killing Godzilla at this point? Because Mia, no, it's Maya. Maya, when he has a conversation where he's about to grab Yuko, you find Godzilla scary. And in her own primitive way, which thanks to the subtitles, because I did not watch this dub, thank God I watched this sub. Thanks to subtitles and just listen to it, it's very cohesive. She says, yeah, I'm scared of them, but I'm also scared of thunderstorms and tornadoes. It's an act of God. And at this point, and in most of the movies, Godzilla's an act of God at this point. Conventional military can't beat him. You have to have oxygen bombs, which is kind of weird that they didn't have oxygen bombs in this movie. But that's okay. I digress. Whatever. You gotta have special means or other monsters to fight him and beat him. There have been monsters that beat him. Ghidorah has beaten him. Destroyer. This Destroyer has killed little baby kid, so to speak. There's Space Godzilla. There's things in other ways of beating him. But in this world, in this 3-part movie universe, Godzilla's a act of God, which is fine. But this movie threw away all of the character growth Haru had in the second movie. He says, I will not throw away my humanity to beat him. Well, why wouldn't that further progress to, I had got this woman, this girl pregnant. She's having my child. I have something else to live for. Why doesn't his hate ever transform? I get that he was 10 and 20 years later, now he's in his 30s. So he's grown to hate Godzilla and all this other stuff. But he has more to lose. He has more to live for. He still has other people that are still around who would look to him because he's a very capable leader, very capable captain. That has been shown to us in the other 2 movies. But in this movie, he's sunk into despair. And I understand that Yuko becoming brain dead would cause him to freeze. But this strong, stalwart guy who was able to move on from Yuko, mind you, because fine, it was an emotional thing and thrown in the throes of passion. They were both scared about what was going on. Fine. I can look past that. I can't look past that this character grew in the second movie. And because of Urobuchi-san and his nihilistic writings. And if you haven't seen Grime, I haven't finished Fate Zero myself, but I can see where it's heading to because it's the prequel to Fate Stay. And if you haven't seen any of the Magical Madokas, I'm talking about the OVAs, the animes, the anime 1, 2, 3, there's tons of it. Decent concept, but I wouldn't rewatch these because they are so depressing. His nihilistic view is nothing matters, everything ends. The fact that it grows means that it's going to come to an end again. The Hotuo people pass along what he did, right? Why wouldn't they just pass along, hey, there's a chance that more exits will come. Watch out for these people. Do not drink the Kool-Aid. No matter how tempting that Kool-Aid looks, don't drink the Kool-Aid. Or how about this? You don't want to make more weapons? The doctor just said further progressing is past his age. He could have been talking about medicine. He could have been talking about indoor plumbing. Tons of good, great things. And this is in the real world. In the real world, a lot of military things are used to further life. It is unfortunate that things like that happened in World War II is how we know about penicillin's effect on the body and things of that nature. You could have taken those nanites, figured out how to keep them in a small isolated so they don't expand and they don't take over things, and just say, hey, now we can cook easier. Now those other monsters that are around that aren't Godzilla, we can defend ourselves and still live and still prosper. Not take over the planet, but still live and prosper. And because of the theme of nihilism of you're gonna grow anyway and it's gonna be destroyed, because in one of the OVs I've seen of Magical Madoka, that was ultimately what they said for the ending. That the girl that keeps going back in time to correct this, it keeps happening until the main character Madoka makes a grand wish and sacrifices herself. Haruo's sacrifice was needless. It made no sense. Now, this is coming from a Godzilla fan standpoint. And I was wrong in the last movie to say that people don't matter and all you look for is the monsters. Because I'm not gonna lie, some of the older movies are really good because the human side is actually interesting. You gotta have the human side and their stake in it when it comes to these giant monster battles. I concede to that. I was wrong to say that before. But when you see the monster battles, that is what grips you and what keeps you. You're envisioning this great battle. We don't get that in here. So where the other movie was like a 3 or 4 or 3.5, I put that down to a 2 now. And then I was willing to give it 3 because there was elements of suspense that kept me there. Now, as a Godzilla fan, I would give this movie a 2. I would give this movie a 2 out of 5 because it poops all over any growth that happened in the second movie. Yeah, the thrill is there, which is why I get to 2. The high stakes are there, which is, again, I would even push up to a 2.5. I would argue with 3, but I'm sticking to 2 because the sacrifices and the tone makes no sense. Fine, the shock deaths of all the people, I'll give you that. But I don't think anybody in the moment realizes that they're gone. They're just like, we can't contact them. If somehow in that moment they say, well, they're all dead, Haruo, this is what's going on. Haruo even cries over Metaphys dying, regardless of him from the beginning, from the X's beginning of being there on Earth. They have constructed this. And he wanted Haru to drink the Kool-Aid because Haru's personality is so strong. Ghidorah can feed off of that and continue to be there until he destroys everything. And with all that, with being as smart as he is, knowing that Metaphys was actually the one to give a person the bomb on the old people's plane, the council didn't kill them. Metaphys killed them to push Haruo forward. We have seen so many animes where the protagonist realizes that the person who he's supposed to trust was being pushed, that they turn on him. And it seems like in this moment, he's warning him, which I can see you mourning the situation, but he's not fully grasping this character that's very intelligent, mind you. He's been intelligent since the first movie. The third movie just crumbles it. Pacing is great. It's still the same pacing from the last movie. When things ramp up, they ramp up. You feel the tension. But as a Godzilla fan, I'm giving this a 2. Now, if you're a casual person, I would gladly send you a link because James Rolfe, aka the Angry Video Game Nerd, his real name is James Rolfe. He made a Godzilla video for beginners on where he thinks they should start. And he's a really good aficionado on this. Another good person on this is Matt McMuscles, who used to be part of the Super Best Friends, but I don't really bother too much with him. I would take most of my advice from James. As a casual person coming into Godzilla, maybe not for the first time, maybe you saw the 2014 one and the 2018 other one and you thought those were cool, you might enjoy this movie because you haven't watched the 1954 one, you haven't watched all the other great ones. I feel like a casual person would say this movie is average. I'm being really, really hard on this movie because of what was built up. That second movie, City on Edge Battle, had so much character growth for Haruo, and this movie just flushed it. And I know I'm saying it over and over again, but that is one of the things I thought about after I watched this. I was so angry with this movie that I had to watch other Godzilla stuff just to say to myself, okay, why am I upset with this? What do I agree with that other people are saying? And I didn't watch reviews on this. I just watched reviews just on Godzilla in general. And it needs to be equal part people, equal part monsters. It's almost like the Transformers. And I never really hated on the Michael Bay Transformers movie because my young self would never imagine how you could have done it better. Apparently, the Bumblebee movie, the parts I've seen, they look authentic like TV show and it looks good. For things like that, when you have a non-human factor and a human factor, it needs to be, in terms of 100%, if you're not doing 50-50, it needs to be 40-60. 40 needs to be people and it needs to make sense, and another 6 needs to be the monster. And I believe Shin Godzilla does a great job of that. As much of it as I have seen, and I haven't seen the whole thing, it does a great job of showing what the people are doing while this is going on and their responses to it. So, rant over, review over. 2 out of 5 for me, but I believe a casual person would call this 3 out of 5. The series as a whole, I'll give it a 3. I'll give the series as a whole as a 3 because of the second movie and because of the things and I've seen in there. Nice references. The pacing is fine. There's nothing. This movie's like an hour. These movies are like an hour and 60 minutes a piece. So the pacings for them are good. These aren't a need to watch, but if you're bored and you want to see what I'm talking about, please give them a watch. If you have seen these movies, tell me what you thought down below. What would you like to watch an episodic Godzilla anime? You know, like a 12 episode anime on Netflix, something that's a lot better than this. I know a lot of reviewers hated the animation. I got used to it. It was something different. It's not like the things we see on Cartoon Network where there's no sharp edges and the animation looks poor. It's certainly not early Dragon Ball Super. But I digress. Let me know down below, please. Like the video. Subscribe if you aren't. Hit the notification bell. Share the video. Be good. Be blessed. I'll see you next time.